Christopher Fafoe.
Talohanei. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Sounds like my mother telling me off. Mr. Chair, debate on clauses 1 and 2, usually when bills are debated on this House, is an opportunity from time to time for members of Parliament to have fun with the title of a bill. But I'm not going to do that tonight because it's simply not funny. It is not funny that this government, under the guise of making life easier for Kiwi families and protecting kids, is slashing millions of dollars out of the family court budget and claimed it's going to make things better. Because it's simply not going to make things better, because as my colleagues have said, it's going to make things much worse. Not for those people who have plenty of money who might find themselves in this situation, but as the officials in their regulatory impact statement say, it's going to make life much worse for those low-income families who find themselves in the tricky position of separating. Because as the regulatory impact statement says on page 11, under the heading of reducing legal aid, it said this option only affects those parties who, because of their low income, are eligible for legal aid. So not everyone's going to be affected by this, Mr. Chair. Not those who have lots. Those who have a bit won't get affected by this, but it's the people on low incomes who are very vulnerable in these situations are going to be those most adversely affected. So we're going to find ourselves in a situation where those people who probably aren't well equipped to represent themselves in the family law courts are going to be asked to do that. And we've already been told by many submissions and advice from the officials that this could make things much worse, and in fact could make situations within those families much more dangerous. And I have almost ad nauseum quoted from the submission from the Christchurch family law court judges, but I just want to point this out to the Minister and the Chair and to those on the other side of the House who have taken zero calls during this debate. They're so proud of this. And this is what they say. We are concerned that without the benefit of the moderating effects of the lawyers in these situations, there may well be an increase in violent behaviour by frustrated litigants. So what we've got ourselves into a situation here is those people who deal with these families every day, who deal with the issues that they see with these families who are breaking up, are saying if you remove the legal representation that these people have available to them at the moment and the legal representation that they have for their children, the violence in the families could actually get worse. Now, is this what this government is after with these reforms in this legislation? I'm not sure if it is. I'm not sure if it is. What they are after, though, Mr. Chair, is cutting costs. Yeah. They are after cutting costs. And I guess you could say the Minister has achieved that. But to what effect? The representation of the families is shot. We've no longer got an effective representation of children in our family law court, and the access to justice for families who are in these situations is much harder. Mr. Chair, part of this bill refers to family dispute resolutions, and much has been made of the cost that it's going to impose upon families now to access that. It's $897. Now, to parliamentarians, that might not be a lot of money, but that is a lot to some parliamentarians. But to those families out there who are struggling, of the low incomes that the officials have talked about, are really going to struggle to get across that first hurdle. So that is very restrictive for those low-income families, and I've got many in my electorate, and that's why I praise the efforts of the family law court lawyers, family lawyers, who came to me almost instantly when this was mooted. That is going to be very restrictive to those families to access what, in the past, has been a service which has helped them get through a pretty tricky situation. In the past, they have had access to 6 free counselling sessions. So it can prevent them getting to this point where they may have to go through court. So they could sort things out before they got to that situation. But under this legislation, that is gone. And what they have to do is stump up close to $900 to get their foot in the door to start resolving their dispute. Now, as the Law Commission said in its submission or its opinion on this bill when it was introduced, they said imposing a large fee puts a big barrier in front of those who want to resolve issues that they are unable to resolve themselves. Mr. Chair,
Chris Farfoy.
Access to justice, I'm continuing to quote, access to justice is a fundamental mark of a democratic and fair society. And by introducing this fee, that access will be impeded in New Zealand. So here we have it, the New Zealand Law Society is saying that those people who can't afford this fee to start a FDR are going to be seriously impacted with their access to justice. Now, in the regulatory impact statement, I think it's the third or the fourth sentence, it sets out that the government wants to reduce costs and have a much more efficient and effective family law court process. Well, you're certainly going to reduce the costs, but is it going to be more efficient and more effective? And on this side of the House, we don't think so. Mr Chair, the Law Commission asked itself a question of what should really happen then, and we agree with this statement wholeheartedly. And it went on to say that New Zealand families will benefit from the introduction of an FDR if it is presented as an accessible and equal opportunity. Charging people a large fee is a barrier. So, Mr Chair, as I said at the beginning, I'm not going to try and make up some funny title for this, because it's simply not a funny issue. This is going to impact on the daily lives of children and parents who are going through a pretty tough time, who are probably on low incomes. And it's all right if you've got money in your back pocket, but it's not going to be right if you don't. It's not going to be okay if you don't. And I think the reason why we have had no calls from the other side of the House is because they want this to go through very quickly and for no one to notice. Well, it's going to get noticed, okay, because there are family lawyers out in every community in New Zealand who hate this legislation. Not because, as was proposed by the Minister, that their legal bills or their salaries are going to go down. Some of these lawyers, or most of these lawyers, actually care about the families that they represent. They know that in many cases there are kids involved. And with what this government is planning to introduce through this legislation, it will make their lives worse. Not for everybody, but probably disproportionately for people who don't have enough money. Now, if that government's okay with that, then pass the legislation. But we're going to fight this tooth and nail because we care about those people who this government has forgot. It is quite happy to give money to big corporates, the likes of Rio Tinto, the likes of Warner Brothers, and give them millions, tens of millions of dollars. But they're going to nickel and dime people who are going through relationship breakups with kids to save money in the family court. If you're okay with that, vote for it. But we're not okay with it on this side of the House. Because in the communities where lots of these people can't afford to access justice, this is going to make things worse for them. And there's almost silence from the other side of the House. Now they start up. There's almost silence from that side, because they know, not only do they know, but they've been advised that this is going to make things worse. They've been advised that this is going to make things worse. And those family law court judges from Christchurch, they think it's funny. They think it's funny. Just put it on the Hansard. They think this is funny. They think that reducing representation for families who are going through tough times, for low-income families, is a funny issue. Put that in the Hansard. There's no laughing now. But let it be known that we, on this side of the House, fought this, and there will be a price to be paid, because when things go haywire, when costs go up, when things get, as predicted by the family law court judges, get worse in Kiwi families, that government is responsible. That's right. That government is responsible, not the opposition. That government is responsible because they've been warned. They've been warned that the costs are going to go up and things will get worse with violence in families, and this government has done it.
The question is that Clause 1 stand part. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. The ayes have it. The opposition senior whip has asked for a party vote. In that case, we shall have one.
New Zealand National. 59 votes in favour. New Zealand
Order.
Labour. New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Māori Party. 2 votes opposed. Mana.
1 vote opposed.
Act New Zealand. 1 vote in favour. United Future. 1 in favour. Brendan Horan.
1 vote opposed.
Any other votes?
Honourable members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. Clause 1 will stand part. The question now is that the Minister's amendments to Clause 2 set out on SOP number 349 be agreed to. Those of that opinion will please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote is called for. Clerk will please conduct a party vote. Thank you.
New Zealand National, 59 votes in favour. New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Māori Party. Mana.
1 opposed.
ACT New Zealand. 1 vote in favour. United Future. 1 vote in favour. Brendan Horan.
1 opposed.
Any other votes?
Honourable members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. The Minister's amendments are agreed to. The question now is that Clause 2, as amended, stand part. Those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote's been called for. We will have one. Thank you.
New Zealand National, 59 votes in favour. New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Māori Party. 2 votes opposed. Mana.
1 opposed.
ACT New Zealand. 1 vote in favour. United Future. 1 vote in favour. Brendan Horan.
1 vote opposed.
Honourable members, the ayes are 61, the noes are 59. Clause 2 as amended will stand part. Minister?
Mr Chair. Mr Chair.
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr Chair, I move supplementary order paper number 350, dividing the bill.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will please say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote has been called for. In that case, we shall have one. The Clerk, thank you.
New Zealand National. 59 votes in favour. This is a procedural. New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Māori Party. 2 votes in favour. Mana.
1 vote opposed.
ACT New Zealand. 1 vote in favour. United Future. 1 vote in favour. Brendan Horan.
1 vote opposed.
Fine. Honourable members, the ayes are 63, the noes are 57. The Minister's SOP is agreed to. I will report this bill with amendment and so divided.
The House has resumed.
Mr. Speaker, the committee has considered the Family Court Proceedings Reform Bill and reports it with amendment and divided into the following bills. Care of Children Amendment Bill, number 2. Domestic Violence Amendment Bill, number 2. Family Disputes Resolution Bill. Legal Services Amendment Bill, number 2. Child Support Amendment Bill, number 3. Children, Young Persons and Their Families Amendment Bill, number 2. Family Courts Amendment Bill. Family Proceedings Amendment Bill, number 2. Property Relationships Amendment Bill, number 2. Protection of Personal and Property Rights Amendment Bill. Mr. Speaker, I move that the report be adopted.
The question is that the report be adopted. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. The bills divided from the Family Court Proceedings Reform Bill are set down for third reading next sitting day, and we call now on Government Order of the Day number 3.